Hello and welcome, I'm Abrax, and in this video I'm going to be comparing a couple of striker builds from the PTS to the live game and taking a look at the damage numbers. With that, let's get into it. First, a massive thank you to my supporters over on Patreon, more on how you can support at the end of the video. While I was playing around with the second phase of the Season 10 PTS, I realised I had a couple of different striker loadouts saved, and I thought it could be pretty interesting to compare these identical builds side by side and see what kind of difference we can expect in damage when the striker rework hits the live game. As a quick reminder, from the current state of striker to the PTS rework, we've seen the standard 4-piece change from a max of 50 stacks to 100, the damage per stack increased from 0.5 to 0.65%, and the damage calculation changed from multiplicative to additive, bringing it more in line with Heartbreaker. With the rework, the backpack increases the stack damage to 1%, and the chest piece increases the stacks up to 200. We've also seen some changes to how the stacks decay. With the more stacks you have, the faster you lose them to a point. If you want a more in-depth rundown of the striker rework, check out my latest video looking at the set in the description below. But for the sake of this video, that's the basics. The two builds I'm comparing in this video have been put together in two different ways for two completely different playstyles, which I thought made for a pretty interesting comparison, with their damage numbers being completely different in the live game. When the rework hits live, I will be playing around with these builds, but this is how they are in their current state for the sake of comparison. First is my current striker DPS build. This is put together with all red cores using the striker mask, holster, gloves and knee pads for the 4-piece talent Striker's Gamble, and this is with neither of the buffs from the backpack or the chest piece. On the chest there is a single piece of Fenris for the 1-piece brand set bonus of 10% assault rifle damage, and for the talent it has good old glass cannon for that 25% amplified damage. The backpack it's using is the Gift, a named Providence backpack, giving it 15% headshot damage for the brand set bonus, and it comes with perfect vigilance for the talent, giving it an extra 25% weapon damage. The weapon is a FAMAS with max weapon damage and 10% damage to targets out of cover. The attributes we need to know for this comparison are 93% crit damage and 107% headshot damage. Looking at those damage numbers in the live game and TU15, the build is hitting headshot crits on armor around 700k and around 820k on health at full stacks. But in the PTS, with the exact same build, it is hitting headshot crits of 973k on armor and 1,139k on health. That's a roughly 270k increase to armor and 320k increase to health. That is a pretty big difference, remembering that this build doesn't use either the backpack or the chest piece. The second build is also using all 6 red cores, but this build was put together as more of a solo build to replicate the good old classified striker of the Division 1, combining the striker damage with a little self-sustaining heal. So when this build was put together, there was much less of an emphasis on overall damage. For this version of Striker, I put it together with the Striker chest, holster, backpack and gloves for the 4-piece talent. Unlike the previous version of this build, this takes advantage of the buffs from the chest and the backpack. For the mask, I have 1 piece of Bellstone for the 1% armor regen, and the knee pads here are the named Murakami knee pads, the Emperor's Guard, for another 1% armor regen. The weapon is another FAMAS, but on this build it only has 13.2% assault rifle damage and 10% damage to targets out of cover. And again, for the sake of comparison, this build only has 57% crit damage and 95% headshot damage. In the live game, taking this build to the firing range, it's hitting 534k headshot crits on armor and 641k on health. You can definitely see the difference in the numbers compared to the more damage-based build in the live game. Now, in the PTS, this exact build, after the rework, had some pretty interesting numbers. On armor in the PTS, this build was hitting around 930k and 1,155k on health. These are wildly different numbers thanks to the changes to the chest and backpack talents for Striker. With the rework, this version of the build on the PTS goes up to 200 max stacks at 1% weapon damage per stack. That's an extra 200% extra damage. This is however let down by the speed the stacks are lost, but this is still a pretty big change. When we compare the numbers, in the PTS on armor, this build is hitting nearly 400,000 more per shot and 514k more on health. This is a pretty big buff, but whether or not it's worth it depends on how quick those stacks decay, which right now does feel pretty quick. Let me know if you found this comparison video interesting. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for future Division 2 content. And as always, a massive thank you to my supporters over on Patreon for helping me make this channel the best it can be. If you would like to join them, you can support the channel for as little as £1 a month. You'll find a link to the Patreon in the description below. Have a great day, and I will catch you in the next one.